All right, we'll try it that way. See if that works. Trying again. Welcome to Java with Josh. I'm Josh Mason, your host for this morning. And okay, getting good vibes back that now works. Messing with my setup because on Saturday here at Cybersecurity, we are hosting the live broadcast for the Global Cyber Games. My day job right now is as an instructor for INE. I record content that goes up on this platform, and the updated penetration testing student is going to come out soon. It's supposed to be second quarter of this year, alongside an updated EJPT. Might be EJPT V2. Wait for marketing to decide what it's going to be called, what it's going to cost, and when it's going to come out. I don't get to influence any of that. So with that, we're going to go through what's currently on the platform. It's going to look similar. You're going to see this guy a whole lot more walking through dozens of labs. Right now, I think there's 16 labs in PTS. There's going to be at least 4 times that amount in the next course, and you're going to get a walkthrough either by me or by Hackersploit for each of those. So get up for that. But this Global Cyber Games, we have 10 teams from all around the world competing in a castle v castle scenario, and we will be live hosting that here. We're going to kick off broadcast at 0800 8 o'clock on Saturday morning Eastern time, and it's going to run until the game runs from 9 to 1, and we'll keep doing the broadcast until we can do some post-game analysis. And I think the expectation is 1:30 is when we will shut off. But Neil, if he's going, he's just got to keep going until he decides to stop the broadcast. This is a first for us. We helped participate in draft day back in November. This is going to be a full-on whole game. And we have a lot of streamers, including Philip Wiley from Cybersecurity and INE in the past, one of our friends in this community. We've got Lola, Cyber Lola, who might be jumping in there. Jack Scott is on the list. So is Chris Butera, Chris Roberts, and Eric Bellardo. Chris Roberts and Eric Bellardo will be sportscasting alongside Neil Bridges, as well as Pete from SimSpace, who has our insider look and understands the full scenario because he's built it. Later today, we've got Jack Scott and Gerald Ogier both doing interviews this afternoon at 3 and 4:30. And on Cyber and Security channel, we stream at least 4 times a week. This week, it's going to be 5 for sure. We had Doc Jade on Tuesday with the Python study course, Brandon on Wednesday nights with Cybersecurity Insights, Java with Josh on Thursdays. I'm going to continue doing these labs until we're done with them. So that might be like this week and a couple more weeks. And then I might be doing some Blue Team labs online. I'll throw out a poll and ask what you all want to see. Or I might run into an interview or an AMA. And then Friday nights, we have Tipsy Cyber with Jack Reedy, Sec IT guy, and that is on par. And tomorrow, we have Tea with a Hacker with Neil Bridges. I think Neil's getting his feet under him at his new role and is starting to get back into regularly scheduled broadcasts. With all of that exciting news, let's get into actually doing some hacking. What do you think? You can follow along with me, and you can do this yourself at home as I am going. And if you want, ask questions. My moderators are in chat. We have a zero negativity or zero toxicity, zero racism and political comments in cyber insecurity. So if my moderators see any of that or any spamming, then you will be timed out or banned. If you want to take it up with them, hop into Discord. You can do !Discord if you are on your YouTube, and you'll get a link to our Discord server. Again, trust my moderators explicitly. If you get timed out, I trust them. So that's probably a problem you need to work out with on your own with them in a DM. All right. Sharing my screen. This is INE. This is the penetration testing basics, part of the penetration testing student pathway. We have done a lot of these labs already. And today we're going to get into Null session. Now, a little bit of background. Null session is when a legacy environment with SMB. So you've got a server out there that is hosting files with SMB, and the view is blurry. Let me double check that. It shouldn't be. I'll see if it freshens up. We've got some tasks. We have our target is going to be demo.ind.local. And we'll use SMB client to check it out. One sec. I'm going to stop sharing and try resharing. Because I like that more. I think I was sharing the whole window. I just want to share tab. Let's try that. Chris? I'm going to start this lab either way. Get it running, and then we'll see if it looks better for you all. We're going to enumerate. Wow. What's going on, Restream? Hang in there with me. Yeah, okay, I see. It's even blurry in mine. Sorry, as we live troubleshoot. It's not great. This is such 1080p. And been messing with things on my end for work and for this upcoming broadcast. Wait, can I? Okay, that should work. I feel like clown shoes today. All right, I'm just going to see if it gets any better. We've got a solution walkthrough in here. So if you get lost, you can hop through the walkthrough, and I'm going to follow the exact same steps that are shown there. Maybe if I switch to this tab, it'll get better. It's not great. That's not great. Is there some reason I'm not going out at like full HD? I'm sorry, folks. This hasn't been a problem in the past, so not sure what's causing it. That looks good. That looks good. Still blurry. All right. I might just audible. I'm not going to do the labs if you guys can't follow along at home. Is it OBS? Might cheat. I might cheat and use a virtual camera from OBS and see if that does it. We'll need to do some magic. Full screen that guy. Hang in there. And I'm sharing not anything, so I feel like that's good. You know what? That's a lot clearer. OBS for the win. All right. I'm calling that good. Yeah, I can read things on my restream, so we should be good. All right. Back to where we were. We'll find out who we are in this lab. We're 192. I guess we actually don't even need that. It's demo.ind.local. It's going to be on that 192.26.154. 2 octets in the middle are going to be unique to each of our instances. So yours is going to be different than mine, but it's still going to be the .3 machine is going to be demo.ind.local. And we see that we've got 149 and 445 open. I'll just have to be smart with deciding if I'm going to show you the face or the screen. Well, let's dig in just a little more and look at the services. So Tech S capital V. Let's only do those 2 ports there for SMB. Split. So on a lot of Windows machines, you connect to network shares utilizing SMB. So the server will have SMB open, your machine will have SMB open, and it will be talking to each other over that protocol. It's evolved a lot over the years, but older versions of SMB, like SMB version 1, utilize some great stuff. This one is utilizing Samba. So that's the Unix version of SMB as opposed to the Windows version. And we could do an operating system scan, tech O. Let's double check that. But since it says Samba SMBD 4.6.2, I feel pretty good on that. Yeah, and it agrees. It's a Linux kernel 4. So probably Linux 4.15 to 5.6. Detection based off of what it's seen there. And there are going to be a few other ports that aren't showing up right now. Because when we ran that scan initially, all it did was the top 1,000 ports that are usually open or that are most likely open. But let's do a UDP scan, tech SU, and for UDP, you really want only pick the top ports, and we'll pick the top 25 ports and see what we're showing on the UDP side. So we've got the TCP side and the UDP side. TCP has connections, UDP is connectionless. So it's a little harder to see what's open and what's being hosted because you don't get that banner, that return, that SYNAC when you send SYN. So we can see that it's showing 137 and 138 as open and open filtered. A lot of other things are shown open filtered. With UDP, you don't really know. You send some data to it, and sometimes you get a return, sometimes you don't. So trying to decide whether it's actually open is difficult. But at least 137 does say that it's open as opposed to closed or open filtered. So let's roll with that. And we can do a service scan. It'll look very similar to this one. 37 and 38. Service scan with UDP. So lowercase s, uppercase U. This might take a minute. UDP service scans can be a little tricky. Nmap knows how to navigate them pretty well. All right, it says it'll go fast. If you ever want to update the verbosity, increase the verbosity, you can press a V while your scan is running, and it looks busy. So that might not help me. If you want updates, you can hit spacebar. And you see that it said 10 seconds remaining before, and now it's up to 42 seconds remaining. This might take a hot minute. But we've got SMB running, or we know that. Let's open a new tab because I want to connect to that Samba. So we'll use SMB client, and we'll just look at what SMB client does. It connects to SMB. Center myself my camera. Sorry about that. We can pick a location with a TAC L, TAC capital L, and we'll use the TAC capital N to suppress password prompts. So we'll see if a null session works, if a passwordless login is allowed, just by going SMB client, TAC L, and demo.ini.local, and TAC N to see if a null session is allowed. It's a session without logging in. Normally, you might have a file share, but you want it authenticated. You want to use either your Active Directory credentialing if you're on a Windows Active Directory environment, or have a specific login credential for your SMB server. In this case, it looks like public is a publicly accessible share. That could be bad, depending on what's in there. What happens if we don't suppress that? Okay, it's going to ask for a login. And we don't have one, so that's what it shows. Is there anything different without a login? No. Okay, so we got prompted for a password. We didn't enter one, and we saw the same information. That checks. That's what it should do. So now we're going to use a different tool. It's to enumerate SMB. So NMB lookup, and we will use an aggressive attack on demo.ini.local. This found more shares for us. More file sharing services. Shows that Evil Core has SMB shares, and it's running an SMB file server. Let's dig in even more. Let's use enum for Linux. It's just another great tool. We are on Linux. It's a Linux server, so this is likely to work. Let's just see what enum for Linux says about itself. It's a simple wrapper around tools in the Samba package. We're dealing with Samba, so this could be helpful. And we can just throw an aggressive scan at it, do all the simple enumeration with attack A. It's going to do all of these things. So let's just run that, attack A against demo.ini.local. Checking to see that a null session was allowed just means that, hey, if we run enum for Linux, it'll probably find us all the stuff that we want. Wow. yeah, it's trying things and it's finding things. That's pretty money. It's nothing too crazy. It's doing a little bit of brute forcing. We did some brute forcing last week. We're going to use some more brute forcing today, specific to SMB. No printers, but a lot of information. Saving all of this information into your own note keeping could be OneNote, it could be Cherry Tree, it could be Joplin, like I use. You just copy all the things out of the terminal or screenshot, both actually, screenshot and copy to your notes. Screenshot for your report, copy to your notes for your tracking. It gathered a lot. So I'm not going to sit here and walk through all of what we found live on the stream. Instead, let's dig into some specifics. We're going to use, again, SMB client and look at what the actual permissions are. So that's going to be a TAC H for SMB client. SMB map. Sorry, SMB map. Another great tool for enumerating SMB. It's just a Samba share enumerator for SMB map. Thanks, Sean Evans. You give it a TAC H for a host, and it's going to enumerate. So let's try that. H and demo.ini.local. Let that run for a second. I'm just curious. Who's in here? We got like a dozen folks in here. Jerry's hanging out for a little bit. Thanks for that. BK. Awesome people. Again, if you have questions, throw a Q in there, or if you don't use the Q, there's few enough. Chris and my other mods will grab it and throw it to me in Discord. So this is similar information to what we saw before when we did SMB client. We've got read-write access to public without any authentication. The others are showing no access. And that's probably good. If it's public, maybe that's on purpose. They expect people within the network to be able to access it and put their faith and trust in that no one's going to put anything in that public folder that is going to cause any harm. But it is something to note. Something that you want to make sure that the client knows what they're sharing. Because if someone breaches their network and what they have in that public share is potentially damaging, or if it's misconfigured and they get access to the full machine, even though that wasn't the intent, those are things that they need to know about. And we can use enum for Linux as well to really dig into this. Just want to cover all the bases. TAC D and TAC capital S are going to show the same information. That public is publicly accessible, the others are not. That this is evil core. No, what's actually in here? All right. SMB client is the great way to actually connect. You need a couple forward slashes, demo.ini.local. And then we want to look in the public share. We'll use a null session. And look around. Hey, there's a test in its directory. So hidden. Let's go into hidden. It's not really well hidden if it shows up. It even calls it a hidden directory. And hey, there's a flag. Use some simple API networking terminology. You want to get something from a share, from FTP, from HTTP, you use get. So get flag. And I downloaded it to my local machine. That one was easy. I don't know what flag 1 has in it. I mean, let's hop over here and take a look. Cat flag 1. This is on my INE machine. That's an SMB. Pretty straightforward. We also could have looked at it in here. Flag 1, and you need to attack. I'm looking at. Oh, okay. It did work. Get flag 1 with attack did actually read it. I'm just being silly. Pretty straightforward what's happening there. Now let's dig in a little more and see what users have access. We've seen the shares. We expect there to be a user to go with some of those named shares, but let's just check. Enum for Linux. Exit. I'll try Enum for Linux. And you to get the list of the users. Demo.ini.local. And it has found eCorp, William, Raymond, Michael, Elliot, and admin. Admin seems like a fun one. I'm going to get rid of my face so you can see this a little easier. And here's that user list. And you can even see their remote IDs, their RIDs. We can do the same thing with SMB. Oh, let's now try authenticating. We did a lot of, yes, Alex asked, we did a lot of recon for a public share. Is that a weird flag? That's just a hashed file or a hashed string. Yeah, it could be a weird flag, but it's just an example. We needed something out there that you could take a look at and see, oh, okay, I did find something. Truth be told, if I was building lab environments, I would make that something that wasn't just a flag. It was a file that represented either something someone put in the wrong place or a real file for the company that you shouldn't have access to from a public share. But gamification, it's what everyone does. It's just a hash string. But in real life, yeah. So that's the thing. When you're actually doing a pen test, what would you expect to find? What would you write up? You found access to this public share. Is that a troublesome thing? No. Maybe they plan to have that. So you just have it as a finding. You don't really need like mitigation or remediation. The mitigation and remediation might just be like properly configure it, only allow things in by policy in there that you're fine with being publicly shared. Don't allow that public access to have misconfigured open access to the rest of the machine, things along those lines. So finding that flag in there just shows that we know how to get to the null session and look around. Is it a problem? Not necessarily, but it is a starting point. If you found greater things than that, if you found actual damaging files that someone's sharing in the public that they're not supposed to, those are bigger findings, and that leads to action down the road. With SMB map and the host of demo.ini.local, all these disks, these shares, and some of them match up to these usernames. Kind of makes sense, right? Let's see if we can get into any of them with a null session. So instead of public, let's look at Raymond. and denied. Let's look at and not denied. Oh, wait, I'm in. This is a finding. Michael's share has public access. So that's not good. What's in dir? Whole lot of folders. So don't know if Michael set this up himself as a on the server or if it's a misconfiguration by the admins, but Michael's stuff probably isn't supposed to be just null session, no password access. That's a real finding. We could look around. We could see if there is a flag. There is a flag directory. And the file is called hack. This was fun because since it's just a hyphen, a dash, it did what it normally does when you do get and a hyphen, where it catted it out. It also sent it back to us. So maybe. Yeah, it didn't know what to do with that. That's fine. But it wrote it out. So that's kind of cool. Again, another random hash string. We could go through and brute force and figure out what that is, but that's not really the point right now. So, null session for a user with all of their directories open and some more information. Again, that in this case, the flag is just a simple hash of something. If it actually had damaging information or IP that they didn't want shared, that could be bad. Bad. I could probably come up with something better than just bad. Okay. Some of these sessions we actually had a password required, right? Who did we look at before? Before Michael Raymond. Well, let's try enumerating with a word list and see if we can brute force our way in. So enum for Linux has that capability. Being in your SMB session helps. And the word list that we'll use is on our desktop. It's the 100 most common passwords. And we're going to use the password brute forcing capabilities of enum for Linux, which before is a SMB enumeration tool for Linux for Samba. So we'll let that guy run. And now we've got some passwords. So we see Shadow 1 exists and allows access using the username of nothing and password of nothing. What does that do? Because I don't remember Shadow 1 being an option. Let's find out. I think we just were enumerating for more shares than what was available. Try null session with Shadow 1. And in here, we've got a third flag. Here, make this full screen so it's a little easier to see. We can get that new flag there in the Shadow 1 share. So we brute force some enumeration utilizing enum for Linux. We used some different tools to find just null sessions that were publicly available. Seeing the shares was publicly available. All this stuff doesn't need to be hidden. having null sessions isn't necessarily bad, but it does create, I don't know, it does add to your risk. And depending on the risk appetite of the organization, maybe they don't want any of this publicly available. And publicly available is a loose term, because assuming this is all behind the firewall and the router, it's not really public. It's just public to the network. Now, if it is public, that is even more findings. That is something that you want to bring up. So that is this lab, the Null Session Lab. It's a fun one. You can follow along I use the same directions off the page, off the INE page. Now, this is some simple stuff. There's not that many SMB and Samba shares nowadays in this form, especially this utilizes SMB version 1. Well, it was Samba version 4, but you can usually see the same thing on a very old Windows system that is utilizing SMB version 1. In that case, you have so many attacks that you can take advantage of. And that can be fun, but not really what we're doing right now. What I would like to do is get into some ARP poisoning. So the next lab that we'll dive into is ARP poisoning. And again, utilizing some older protocols. And if you're thinking like, hey, these things, you don't see that much anymore, you might still see them. But we need to show examples of what can happen. You will see this technology still on many systems. People who have internal networks, usually, especially nowadays, if people are still running an internal network, then their technology might have a lot of technical debt. It's common. If it works, people are happy with it. They don't think about security, which is why we stay employed. I've got a question from Taekwon Gong, active follower. Love seeing you in here, man. The question is, can Nmap be used to scan for vulnerabilities like SMB and OOM? Yes, there are tons and tons of modules for Nmap. I'll tell you, in the latest version of PTS, I recorded enumeration back in October, and there's like 4 different labs for SMB, one where we go through enum for Linux, one where we do it just with Nmap. I've broken it up so that we're not jumping around between tools. It's showing use cases and building on that knowledge instead of just the one lab with these little scenarios that we went through here. In case you're curious what the updates are going to be, it's adding more labs and adding more interaction and more explanation. I'm trying to fit things in here because I'm not getting paid for the hour. So trying to give you useful stuff without taking all day. We've got this task. There is a telnet server and a client in this one. So we're going to do some ARP poisoning. And there's the traffic in between those two machines, and it is directed for those machines. So we're going to try to get that traffic sent to us by poisoning the ARP tables across the network. So what ARP does is it takes a MAC address and an IP address and connects the two so that when your packets go out, they get routed and sent to a MAC address inside the network. There's just that one, I want to say switch. No, that's a router. There's just that one router, so it's just going to follow whatever the ARP table is. So it's going to pass it to us when we poison the ARP tables. ARP is based off of everyone broadcasting who they are and then asking everyone else, like, okay, hey, what's this IP address? What's this IP address? What is your MAC address? And then putting that MAC address into the I want to call it datagram level of your packet. And I'm saying that wrong. We'll look at it. We'll look at it in Wireshark. That is part of this. So going from the telnet server to the client. I'll start up this machine. Give it a second. I'm a big fan of these labs being browser based because we are jumping from one lab to another. I don't have to have my personal VM up, just have this browser window open. It works. I didn't have to mess with any VPNs. I didn't have to update any of my own tools. In 20 seconds, we'll have full access to this with tools that work, with a connection that works. And for learning, for teaching, it is great. For you labbing yourself, this is not that sort of lab. If you want to go out and just practice a whole bunch of stuff, it's limited, right? You want to make your personal attack machine great. It's something that you're going to take with you for years and, own it like a good pair of socks. You can't do that with browser based. And we all get that. But also that's not what we're teaching you for. You're paying or spending the time at least trying to learn content. And so to get you content, I prefer this. Getting you practice, you can do that with your own time. This is an involved lab since there's multiple machines. So we'll let that go for a second. This afternoon, Jerry is interviewing John Strand, and they're going to be talking about their pay what you can model. And I'm a fan of it. INE has PTS for free. And then with their premium pass, you get access to everything else. It's a model that they've been playing with ever since INE acquired eLearn Security. I'll tell you, there's going to be some updates. There's going to be some tiered pricing for INE in the future in case you're like, I can't do a whole premium pass. That's a big grab for me. Well, we've been listening. The team, I'm pretend like I'm more than just the instructor. The team has been listening and they are going to make solutions that work for you, that tier things out. Maybe you don't need access to everything. Maybe you want access to more specific things. So they're building that out. There is also, if you are looking for a way to enhance your own skills on your own machine and just have some things to hack, there's obviously some other lab platforms that are fun that we're a big fan of here at Cyber and Security. Try Hack Me, Blue Team Labs Online, Pentester Academy, and Pentester Labs are also great. I'm a big fan of Portsrigger Academy. It doesn't have the labs that it has aren't as involved. They're browser based because you're attacking a browser, so it kind of makes sense. But there are lots of platforms where you can go and test your skills. Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. INE might be working on something like that. I've said too much, but that's what you get when you tune in to things that we share. Sorry, this lab is taking a long time to spin up. I forgot that it takes so long. It's what you might call legacy. So it is something that we had on the platform before. Okay, come on. I'm going to bring this up to the lab team. I don't feel like this one should spin up, take this long to spin up. Again, it's legacy. Something that we've had on the platform before that's now in the new environment. So our machine is this 10.113.140. So let's scan the whole network. Oh, are you really? There we go. See what's out there. And we looked at the network map before. There's our machine, there's a telnet server, and there's a client. We don't know their IP addresses, which is why we're doing this scan. But we do know that there's a gateway at .1, and we don't want to attack it. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. So we're the .140. .1 is the gateway. Don't want to mess with it. .36 is hosting SSH and Telnet. Go full screen here. Make it a little easier. And .37 isn't hosting anything. All right. That's not too crazy. But this Telnet server, that might have something. We know in our directions, it says that there is traffic between the Telnet server and that other machine. What did it call it? It just called it the client. So we know that there is Telnet traffic going back and forth. Now, Telnet is remote access via command line, and we could try to connect to that. So, I'll just netcat to the 1010 or 10.113.36. And it doesn't know what's going on. Letting into it. 113.36. We're connected. And not really getting anything. Oh yeah, there we are. It's Ubuntu. We are Ubuntu. It's asking for a login. I don't have a login. Can I just go null session? Nope. Expecting 3 attempts and then to be kicked. Well, we'll just drop the connection. I don't have a login. Let's see if that client is logging in. The thing about Telnet is that it is not. I want Wireshark. It's not encrypted. The traffic is not encrypted. So many things in today's world are now wrapped in a TLS or SSL. Why can't I grab and move this? Oh, there we go. All right. Are wrapped in a TLS wrapper that encrypts the data by setting up a connection between you and the server, the host and the server. And we go back to the HTTPS lab and the video from that from like 4 weeks ago now. And you can see what the difference between encrypted and unencrypted traffic looks like. All this was on the ETH1. Sorry, I want to look at the right interface. ETH1 interface. And let's just see what traffic is running across. I might not have a lot of traffic showing. Because if it's not directed at me, the way we saw the branching on that network diagram, if traffic is not meant for me, then it's not going to get forwarded to me by the gateway. So everything is currently going directly from the client to the Telnet server. So we're not seeing anything. Let's do some ARP poisoning. Let's tell everyone that we are the client. Let's see if that'll work. By using ARP spoof. So first we need to redirect all of traffic. We want to forward IP packets. So we're going to set that up where you've got standard input, standard output, and standard error. 0, 1, and 2 when you're dealing with Linux. So echo 1 takes your standard output and using the caret for a redirect, We're going to send that to proc sys net IPv4 and IP forward. This is a internal Linux system for packet forwarding, if that makes any sense. Hit the I believe button if you need. We could do a deeper dive into Linux and if you really want it. But this is really to show an example of ARP poisoning, not necessarily a full Linux course right now. So we redirect our standard output to that port forwarding, and then we need to start running ARP spoof. The tool that comes with Kali Linux, we want it to be on the ETH1 interface. That's the one that's connected on this network. And our target is going to be the 100 or the 10.100.13.37. We want to redirect everything that's going to 10.100.13.36. That one. Here we go. All right. So now our machine is sending out all of these ARP broadcasts saying that, hey, we are this other machine, that we are 36. And now in Wireshark, we should be able to see, yeah, that's our ARP going out. Our ARP broadcast. Whoa. Telling everyone that 37 is at us and 36 is at us as well. So everything's going, we want everything to go to us. Any packets on this network headed to 36 or 37, send them to me. Can I zoom in? There. That's better. Thanks, Chris. I hope that's better. Looks better on my little screen. So yeah, let's just stop it for a second so it doesn't keep moving. But these are broadcasts that are being sent out. So 10.100.13.37 is at 08A7 and 36 is at 085D. And then we duplicate, or we can see that there's a duplication. And that's fine. That's sending everything, again, to us. What can we do with that? Well, there was also some telnet traffic in here. I stopped the capture. Let's filter for telnet traffic. And in this data, we've got things going back and forth between 36 and 37. And the great thing is, it's all unencrypted. If we follow the TCP stream, we can read everything. And what's really cool is right here, we have a login. Remember it asked for INE login when we tried to telnet in? Well, if we use admin and my secret pass, let's copy that. We should be able to log straight in. And we're able to read all this because it's unencrypted traffic. If we were looking for SSH, I don't think it's set up to have SSH traffic going back and forth. But the SSH traffic would all be encrypted and we wouldn't be able to read it. It would look a lot like that HTTPS lab. So now that we've got a login and a password, let's go back and try to telnet into the server. Stop this guy. It's cleaning up. See how it's set everyone 36 and 37 we're at 5D. Well, now it is unpoisoning and broadcasting that they're at the F3 and A7 respectively. Bah. That's not what I want. Oh, I copied and pasted. Awesome. Instead, with this telnet. And let's try admin. And we'll copy that password. Did that copy? It did. I copied this password from here, my secret pass, with a 3 and a 4 and 5s. Yeah, not a bad password, except for the fact that it's really easy. And it's probably on a word list. But it does all the things. It's got uppercase and lowercase and numbers. Well, and it's pretty long. It's probably going to be on a word list. It's really easy. So that's the problem with that one. But now we are in. We have command line access on that other machine. 36. So that is not a great thing security wise. That would be a finding. That someone was able to grab credentials because they were going across the wire on Telnet and then log into the machine. It does make me kind of wonder if we try to SSH as admin at that same machine. I just do that. The same password? Oh. So their Telnet password and their SSH password are the same, which I guess makes sense, right? Well, now that I've got SSH access, that's even more. That's that's pretty crazy. Now that's a write-up that you would definitely want to include in your report and brief to your client. Ooh. All right, that is a fun lab. That's the full lab. I hope you enjoyed that one. We're at 9:37. I think I can get started on one more. Any questions with that lab as we were going along? Since I don't have Jerry after me today, we could briefly look at the Metasploit lab and introduce that one. What do you all think? How many folks are in here? A few. Yeah, did it get any better? I think that's what I'm going to do today because this Metasploit lab is kind of longer. So we'll get into that next week. And then I think that sets us up fine for then covering just the black box labs. Yeah, the black box labs after that. So we'll jump into Metasploit and then try to do a black box lab next week. And then we'll try to do the other 2 black box labs the week after. And that will be all of PTS. If you've enjoyed this, please tune in, please share it, please do all those things. Join us over on Discord. Do hashtag or ! Discord, though I think everyone that's currently in here is already part of the community. Love to talk to you guys about this all later. Thank you again for tuning in. Tea with a Hacker tomorrow. Global Cyber Games on Saturday. A long stream. There is going to be there's INE is giving out vouchers for exams and a special discount code for everyone in chat for INE Premium. TCM Security Academy has promised me some bundles, so you can get some TCM bundles in there. Blue Team Labs online, or Blue Team Security Blue Team is sending some Blue Team level 1 vouchers, so you can get their course and exam for free. We'll be giving that away. Neil has, I think, 25 cases of root that are at his house ready to be shipped out to you, or Root's going to send them to you. And there's also going to be a discount code for 50% off cases of root, only if you're in the stream, because we'll have the bot shouting those out. And it's going to be fun. We're going to watch some Castle v Castle, some King of the Hill. There's going to be threat hunting. There's going to be evasion. There's going to be some pivoting. It's going to be some neat stuff. Rodnet Q asked, do you guys have any NTLM Relay X labs or LMNR poisoning? Yes. That is in pen testing professional and pen testing extreme, where you get into extreme has more evasion and why can't I think of the right word? Not disambiguation, the other. But that all that Active Directory stuff is in pen testing professional, and we are starting. Actually, I think Alexi right now is starting to record some pen testing professional courses. Those aren't going to be dropped as a whole. So PTS, we've been making these courses. Like if I could, so like pen testing basic. This one right here. This is considered a course. It's part of the pathway, the pen testing student pathway. So in here, this course has all of these modules and all of these lessons and labs. What we're doing is we're going to have more courses and fewer, not fewer. It's just going to be grouped differently for PTS. But once all of it is ready, it's all going to be replaced. When you get into the pen testing professional, which I don't think I'm not in my authenticated login, but this pen testing professional, it's got all of these courses in here, and they're going to get replaced one at a time once the content for them is up to date. So your network security, I think, is the one with all of the Active Directory. Currently, a lot of this is repeat stuff. You're like, wait, man in the middle and sniffing, didn't we just do that? Kind of. It gets into more, especially with some can enable. Authentication gets into some more, and then you get into post exploits, and that's where you get into some more tunneling and more privilege escalation. That's in pen testing professional. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's some good stuff. So Rodnet Q, we do. It's not in the pen testing students, not with the free starter pass. But again, that tiered payment and subscription model is coming out. I don't know what it looks like. I just know that it is happening. If I had details, I would share them if I was allowed. But all right, going to call that a day. Thank you for tuning in to Java with Josh, and catch everyone else on the channel. But To the Hacker tomorrow, Jerry this afternoon 4:30 with John Strand, and Jack Scott later today at 3, and Jack Reedy tomorrow night at 8 for Tipsy Cyber. With that, you have a great weekend.